Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a truly pivotal moment in the heavenly realms. Grab your tea, get comfy, and let's get into it. Picture this. The Fox Emperor and Zheyan are in the Celestial Palace, deep in conversation with the Celestial Monarch about Bai Qian's much-anticipated marriage. Just as they're hashing out the details, in walks Crown Prince Ye Hua to pay his respects. The moment Zheyan lays eyes on him, he's absolutely stunned. The resemblance is uncanny. He looks exactly like Zheyan's old friend, the god of war, Mo Yuan. The celestial monarch, seeing Zheyan's surprise, offers a theory. He muses that perhaps after Mo Yuan's soul was shattered, a tiny fragment, a lingering wisp of his essence, found its way into the world and somehow guided the creation of Ye Hua. It's a romantic idea, right? But Zheyan isn't buying it. He knows Mo Yuan. If even a sliver of Mo Yuan's spirit had survived, it would have instinctively returned to its home, the sacred Kunlun Mountains. It wouldn't just wander off and end up in the heavenly palace. The whole thing feels impossible, a coincidence too strange to be true. Still, the resemblance is undeniable, and it gets Zheyan thinking. He turns to Ye Hua, his expression a mix of curiosity and something more profound. He casually asks the young crown prince about his own marriage prospects. Ye Hua, ever so polite and composed, replies that the celestial monarch hasn't arranged a marriage for him yet. A small knowing smile plays on Zheyan's lips. It's like he can already see the strings of fate beginning to weave a new, intricate pattern. This small detail, this seemingly minor point, is about to become incredibly important. Meanwhile, a storm of drama is brewing elsewhere in the heavenly palace. The grand hall is filled with all the gods and immortals assembled for what should be a routine court session. But things are about to get anything but routine. The second prince, Shangji, bursts into the hall, and he's not alone. He's holding a terrified Shaoxin, the little snake spirit, whom he has just rescued from the brutal demon locking tower. Shangji's plan is desperate and daring. He hopes that by bringing their plight before the entire celestial court, with powerful figures like Zheyan and the Fox Emperor present, he can appeal to the celestial monarch's mercy and secure a future for himself and the woman he loves. He basically throws himself at the emperor's feet, pleading for their lives. But the celestial monarch is not feeling merciful. He is absolutely furious. To him, this isn't a story of love, it's a story of betrayal and disgrace. Shangji, a prince of the celestial clan, has not only abandoned his sacred duty and his betrothal to Bai Qian of Qingqiu, but he has done so for a lowly handmaiden. In the monarch's eyes, Shangji has dragged the entire celestial clan's dignity through the mud. His rage is terrifying. In front of everyone, he declares that the only way to restore their honor is for Shangji and Shaoxin to die. He demands they take their own lives right then and there as an apology to the Fox clan and to the heavens. The atmosphere in the hall turns ice cold. Shangji and Shaoxin, seeing no other way out and devoted to one another, prepare to meet their end together. They've chosen love over life, and they're ready to face the consequences. But just as despair takes hold, Zheyan steps in. He's seen enough. With his characteristic calm and authority, he stops them. He turns to the fuming celestial monarch and says, "Look at them. Their love for each other is so strong, so loyal. Why try to force them apart? Isn't it better to just let them be? What's the point of all this tragedy?" Zheyan's words are a plea for compassion, a reminder that love, in its purest form, should be respected, not punished. The celestial monarch, however, is stubborn. His pride is wounded, and he's not ready to back down. The alliance with the powerful Fox clan is in tatters, and he sees no easy way to fix it. The tension is thick enough to cut with a celestial sword. Just when it seems like they've reached a complete impasse, another figure steps forward. The third prince, Liansong. Liansong is known for his cleverness and his ability to see solutions where others only see problems. He addresses the court, his voice clear and reasonable. He points out the obvious. His second brother, Sangji, can no longer marry the high goddess Bai Qian. The engagement is broken. But, he suggests, this doesn't have to be a disaster for the celestial clan. In fact, it could be an opportunity. He proposes a brilliant solution. Since the original groom is no longer suitable, they should offer Qingqiu an even better one. Someone with a higher status, more power, and a more glorious future. Someone who would not only salvage the alliance, but make it even stronger. He lets the suggestion hang in the air for a moment, his eyes scanning the room before they land on one person. Let's have the heavenly grandson, the crown prince Ye Hua, marry Bai Qian, he declares. Ye Hua is not just any prince, he is the designated heir, the next celestial monarch. Marrying him to the future queen of Qingqiu would be a match of unparalleled prestige. This way, Liansong argues, both the celestial clan and the Fox clan can save face. No one is dishonored. Instead of a scandal, it becomes an upgrade. Everyone wins. The whole falls silent as the gods process this audacious proposal. It's a masterstroke of political maneuvering. It solves the Sangji problem, appeases the Fox clan, and secures a powerful future for the celestial clan. And at the center of it all stands Ye Hua, the man who looks so much like Mo Yuan, now unknowingly tied by fate to the very woman Mo Yuan once cherished. The pieces on the cosmic chessboard have just been dramatically rearranged, setting the stage for a love story that will span millennia and shake the very foundations of the heavens.
Jiyan and the third prince agreed.
And the heavenly emperor decreed that the Hua marry Bai Qian. When the Hua succeeded, the heavenly emperor Bai Qian would become the empress of heaven. 2.
Punish Sangji.
The heavenly emperor ordered him
To relocate to the North Sea to become the Lord of Water. This was a perfect solution.
Sujin
Has loved the Hua since childhood.
When she heard that the Hua had accepted the imperial decree for the marriage, she felt deeply wronged and unwilling. She cried and asked the Hua if he didn't understand her feelings. The Hua, expressionless, told Sujin that he had always respected her as an aunt and had no other intentions. As for the person to be the principal wife, he would marry her sooner or later, and it didn't matter who he married. Sujin was not comforted by the Hua and had to turn to Empress Lasu for help. Lasu was helpless and tactfully told Sujin that in the heavenly palace, only the Emperor of Heaven could arrange a marriage for the Hua. Sujin had no relatives or parents behind her. Even though she was born into a prominent celestial clan, her entire clan was wiped out in the war. If the Hua were interested in her now, it would be fine. But he was not. Lasu comforted Sujin and asked why she was so persistent.
Fengjiu came to the riverside and summoned the land fairy.
She skillfully used her bamboo flute to exchange for the bell Donghua had given the land fairy. Fengjiu was very happy to receive the bell and hurried back to celebrate her aunt's birthday. Engu returned to the peach forest and happened to run into Bai Qian and Bai Zuan drinking together. Fenggu sweetly wished Bai Qian a happy birthday and joked with Bai Qian that her aunt was disrespectful to her elders. Bai Qian, in a playful mood, transformed Fenggu into her true fox form and playfully said, "You dare to call your aunt old? Then I'll let you be a little fox for a few days." Bai Qian saw the bell Fengjiu dropped and tied it to Fengjiu's leg. After drinking, Bai Qian looked lonely and walked away quietly. Fengjiu, worried about her aunt, followed by Qian all the way.
Bai Qian arrived at Kunlun Su, which was now desolate and bleak, no longer prosperous as it once was. Bai Qian felt sad.
Bai Qian drank, alone in the wine cellar. Thinking about the time she had spent with her master and fellow apprentices on Kunlun Su, and felt even more depressed. Now that Qingqiu was about to break the seal and escape,
Bai Qian was ready to seal the Donghuang bell alone, to ensure peace in the world.
Bai Qian protected Fengjiu in the wine cellar and let her sleep for 3 days. After 3 days, the protective shield she had set up for her would break, and the bell would ring, calling for Emperor Donghuang for her. Bai Qian didn't know if she would survive to return, so she wrote down the spell to seal the Donghuang bell and left it with Fengjiu. Bai Qian arrived at the riverside. Just as the land fairy was about to come forward to pay her respects, Bai Qian fanned her away. She simply didn't want to implicate an innocent person, and told the fairy to save her own life.
Bai Qian arrived in front of the Donghuang bell. Sure enough, Qingqiu had awakened.
Bai Qian told Qingqiu that she would not let him break the seal, even if it cost her life. Bai Qian used the sealing spell to reseal the Donghuang bell. In revenge, Qingqiu attacked with all his might, concealing Bai Qian's appearance, magic, power, and memory, and sending her back to the human world. He wanted Bai Qian to experience the pain of birth, old age, sickness, and death in the human world, and never know who she really was. Purple clouds rolled, thunder rumbled, and everyone in the heavenly palace had an ominous premonition. Donghuang rushed to the Donghuang bell and found that it had returned to calm. He was very puzzled and called the land fairy. The land fairy only knew that a beautiful fairy had come and then drove him away. Donghuang was really puzzled who had such great ability to seal the Donghuang bell again.
The magic spell protecting Fengjiu was broken, and the ringing of the bell attracted Donghuang.
Donghuang saw the sealing spell left by Bai Qian on the table and learned from Fengjiu that it was written by Bai Qian from He asked Fengjiu if Bai Qian had any connection with Kunlun Su. Fengjiu told him that her aunt had never left Qingqiu since she was born, so how could she have anything to do with Kunlun Su? Donghuang didn't believe it.
Although he didn't know the ins and outs of this,
It now seems that the person who resealed the Donghuang bell must be Bai Qian. Bai Qian fell into the human world and woke up in a bamboo forest, with her memory and magic power blocked by Qingqiu. Bai Qian didn't know who she was, where she came from, or where she was going. Bai Zuan couldn't find Bai Qian in the peach forest and came to the fox cave. But Miju said that Bai Qian had not returned to the fox cave. It happened that Jihan came back from the heavenly palace, and Bai Zuhan was about to ask Jihan about Bai Qian's marriage. Jian told Bai Zuan that although the marriage with the second prince was cancelled, the engagement with the celestial clan was still there. Bai Zuan was surprised what was going on, and Jian told Bai Zuan the whole story in detail. Fengjiu awakens in the cave and rings a bronze bell, which attracts Emperor Dong. He questions why the bell is on him, and Fengjiu is unsure how to respond. Donghuang, upon seeing the sealing spell Bai Qian had left on Fengjiu, questions her connection to Kunlun Su. Fengjiu quickly defends Bai Qian, explaining that her aunt had never left Qingqiu, so how could she possibly be connected to Kunlun Su? Although Donghuang doesn't get an answer from Fengjiu, he still feels a connection between Bai Qian and Mo Yuan. As for what that connection is, only Mo Yuan's awakening will reveal it. Li Jing hadn't forgotten Xian for 70,000 years, but time had only deepened his understanding of the fact that he had always loved Xian. Even if Zhuan knew looked like Xian, she wasn't Xian. Li Jing arrived at Kunlun Su, feeling melancholy as he thought about his acquaintance with Xian and their past.
As he was leaving, he happened to run into Emperor Donghuang and his companions,
All of whom lamented the desolate scene that now dominated Kunlun Su.
Emperor Donghuang told Siming Xingshu that Qingqiu would break the seal in the next few days.
A woman had calculated the day for breaking the seal and knew the sealing spell, and had already sealed the Donghuang bell again. Xingshu wondered who else had such a great ability, when even the emperor couldn't calculate it. Donghua thought about it, and pointed at Fengjiu and said, "It should be the little prince's aunt. Qingqiu Bai Qian. Fengjiu learned from the stars that her aunt had become a laughingstock in the world because of Xiao Xin. Feeling unfair for her aunt, she rushed to the heavenly palace and met Ji, taking Xiao Xin to bid farewell to the heavenly emperor and head to the East China Sea. Fengjiu pointed her sword at Xiao Xin and asked her how could her aunt repay her with evil when she had always treated her well. Xiao Xin humbly begged Fengjiu for forgiveness, but Fengjiu refused. The king of the North Sea was about to have a conflict with Fengjiu, but the emperor appeared to stabilize the situation. The emperor suspected that Bai Qian was Xian from that year, and he forced Xiao Xin to ask if she knew Xian. Fengjiu's heart tightened, for she was afraid that if Xiao Xin could not withstand the torture and told the story, the matter between her aunt and Lord Mo Yuan would be in trouble. Unexpectedly, although Xiao Xin was of humble character, she understood Bai Qian's kindness to her. Xiao Xin fearlessly replied to the emperor that she did not know Xian. No matter how the emperor pressed her, Xiao Xin did not change her words. Seeing Xiao Xin like this, Fengjiu's anger towards her subsided. Bai Qian, a mortal, settled down in a thatched cottage on Zhongyi Mountain in the eastern wilderness. One night, as she was cooking, she was surprised to find the golden lion beast also in the mountain. It snuck into the cottage and, upon seeing Bai Qian holding the Yuking Kunlun fan, fled in terror. The fan fell to the human world with Bai Qian. Upon waking, Bai Qian no longer recognized it, thinking it was just an object she had found. The golden lion beast couldn't understand why. During the great battle,
The one wielding the Yuking Kunlun fan was clearly a man.
while the woman in the thatched hut, a mortal at that, was holding the fan, the Hua discovered the golden lion beast's whereabouts and followed him. The two engaged in a fierce battle, and a terrifying red thunderstorm erupted in the sky. The golden lion beast was overwhelmed and fled in panic. The two pursued him into the city. The golden lion beast angrily demanded to know why the celestial clan had chosen to kill it after hiding from him for 70,000 years. The Hua simply explained that karma would prevail. To escape, the golden lion beasts unleashed a crimson fire that burned the city. To save the people, the Hua was forced to reveal his true form, revealing that he was actually a black dragon. During the fight, the Hua was injured by the crimson fire and could not regain his human form for 3 days. He had no choice but to retreat to a cave on Zhongyi Mountain in the East Wilderness to recuperate. One day, Bai Qian came to a cave and stumbled upon the Hua's transformation into a small black dragon. Mistaking it for a black snake, Bai Qian brought it back to her thatched cottage and carefully cared for it. It was quite a lively scene with one person and one snake. But it was pitiful for the Hua, who felt very embarrassed to be teased by Bai Qian, who treated him like a snake despite being a real dragon. The Hua felt that Bai Qian resembled the figure he often saw in Kunlun Su in his dreams. He also noticed that Bai Qian was holding the Yuking Kunlun fan and began to doubt Bai Qian's identity. Bai Qian brought the little black snake transformed by the Hua to the market and sold some fruits for money. Bai Qian went to listen to an opera and drink tea. As a result, the fan in her hand was recognized as a treasure by a fortune teller in the market. The fortune teller wanted to take the treasure fan for himself and snatched it from Bai Qian. He even argued that it was an heirloom from his ancestors. Bai Qian, who had lost her memory, was speechless. The fortune-telling Taoist priest insisted that the fan was a magic weapon passed down from his ancestors. He asked Bai Qian to tell him what was painted on the fan. Bai Qian couldn't answer. Yanxi happened to pass by and came to her aid. She told everyone that this was a magic weapon of an old friend of hers, exposed the Taoist priest's hypocritical mask, and helped Bai Qian to get the fan back. Yanxi saw that Bai Qian's action of holding the fan to her nose was very similar to Xi Yin. If Bai Qian was not a woman, she almost thought that the person in front of her was Xi Yin. Yanxi told Bai Qian that this was a precious fan and asked her to keep it well and not show it off. Otherwise, it would bring trouble. Bai Qian stopped Yanxi, who was about to leave, and told her that since the fan belonged to her old friend, giving it to her now would be considered returning it to its original owner. Yanxi was very grateful to Bai Qian, and the two of them felt like they had known each other for a long time. The Hua returned to the heavenly palace to handle affairs. His third uncle told the Hua that Sujin was going to marry the Emperor of Heaven, but the Hua didn't take it seriously. His third uncle also told the Hua that the Emperor of Heaven had discussed marrying Qingqiu Bai Qian with the Hua's father and the ministers in the hall. For some reason, the Hua didn't want to hold this wedding so soon. After the Hua went to the heavenly palace, the little black snake he transformed into remained in a coma.
Bai Qian thought the little snake was hibernating, wondering why it was hibernating in September. Not even winter yet.
The Hua found Siming Shinshu
In the heavenly palace.
He was puzzled as to how a mortal like Bai Qian could possess the Yuking Kunlun fan. Siming Shinshu told the Hua that after the great battle, the immortal bodies of Si Yin and Mo Yuan had disappeared together. Therefore, Emperor Donghua had the words both retired written in the scriptures to silence the gossips. The Hua did not get an answer from Siming Shinshu, and his heart was still full of questions. The Hua returned from the heavenly palace, and finally, the little black snake woke up. Bai Qian was overjoyed to see the little black snake awake. She couldn't wait to show the little black snake the big red quilt Yancy had given her, and even shared the quilt and slept with the little black snake. Although the Hua knew that there were differences between men and women, he had no choice but to obey Bai Qian because he couldn't show himself. At night, Bai Qian fell asleep, and the Huaye appeared in his celestial form. Seeing Bai Qian sleeping beside him, he felt fascinated. Fengjiu must repay the Emperor Donghua, so she comes up with the idea of going to the heavenly palace to be the Emperor's maid. But she cannot tell her father and the Fox Emperor. Otherwise, they will definitely not agree. Fengjiu hands over the sealing spell given to her by her aunt Tamigu, asking him to give it to the Fox Emperor and Jian, and tells them, by the way, that she is going out to gain experience, and you won't have to worry. After explaining all this, Fengjiu goes to the heavenly palace alone.
Jian received the sealing spell sent by Migu and said it was not good.
Jian explained
To the Fox Emperor.
Fox Queen and Bai Zuan that this spell was used to seal the Donghuang bell. Not only that,
it also recorded that the Donghuang bell had to be sealed once every 70,000 years. Calculating the date, it was exactly the day after Bai Qian left the peach forest. When the Fox Queen heard them say this, she was heartbroken. She thought that Bai Qian had died because of sealing the Donghuang bell. The Fox Emperor and Jian hurried to comfort the Fox Queen, saying that if a member of the God clan was about to die, there would be strange phenomena in the heavenly palace. But now, the world is peaceful, and there is nothing abnormal.
so Bai Qian is just missing and her life should not be in danger.
When the Fox Queen heard them say this, she calmed down a little. Fengjiu arrives at the Emperor's Taiyikan palace, but the guards don't recognize her and won't let her in. Unsure what to do, Fengjiu stands guard at the gate. Qingqiu! Yuanjun, a woman from the Celestial Palace, happens to pass by disguised as a man. Seeing Fengjiu waiting at the gate, she approaches and strikes up a conversation. Fengjiu doesn't hide her identity and tells Qingqiu Yuanjun the whole story of her and the Emperor.
We'll leave it for today. What a whirlwind of events, right? From a shocking resemblance to a life-or-death confrontation and a genius political solution. Let me know in the comments what you think of the third prince's plan. Was it brilliant or just another way to trap our favorite characters in a web of duty? Thanks so much for hanging out and geeking out with me today. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next deep dive. See you in the next video.